Thank you so much, and good afternoon. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Akiko, thank you so much for the introduction. I really appreciate it. I can't tell you how delighted I am to be here in Japan. It's some place I've always wanted to visit, and this was for me. This is an amazing opportunity to learn from all of you as well. So I appreciate the invitation, Dr. Kuno, Dr. Gahiya. Thank you so much. When Dr. Gahiya invited me to join this gathering of women and young women leaders, she shared with me Dr. Kuno's vision and her commitment and her efforts to give a space for women to meet, exchange ideas, thoughts, experiences, heartaches, challenges. So Dr. Kuno, I salute you for all that you do. Please. And I especially want to thank you for giving the young women a place where they can share in a safe environment, when they can share their experiences. And that's precisely why I really love talking to women's groups. And to the gentlemen here, you're welcome as well. Thank you for coming. Because women do share. If you put two women in a room, they've never met, complete strangers, in 1/2 hour, they will know about their lives, the spouses, the children, what they like, what clothes they like, what perfume they like, what they like to watch on television. You put two men in the same room, and for 1/2 hour, they will talk sports. So ladies, hats off to all of you. I know we don't have a lot of time today. You have a really, really packed agenda. So I'm not going to give you like a regular speech. I'd like to do something a little different. I've gone through this exercise with several groups of women across Latin America. And I just love it because the resulting reflections and the discussions always are very interesting and very enlightening. So today, I'd like to share a personal reflection with you. A little bit about my background, how in a very twisted way I got to where I got to. A while back, someone posted an entry on social media. Sometimes they do post good things. But it asked the following question. If you could, what advice would you give to your 12-year-old self? What guidance? What admonitions? What would you tell him or her to be careful for? Well, how would you tell a 12-year-old child who basically has no idea what life is all about, what to do, what to embrace, how to move forward, and how to face the challenges that life does put in front of you? I grew up in a steel town outside of the city of Chicago. My parents were Mexican immigrants. We lived in an immigrant community, and I loved that whole area because there are people from all over the world. You know, where I grew up, it was Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and Croatians and Slavs, and in Chicago, which is 1/2 hour away, you had everyone. So everyone's family came from somewhere else. So that part wasn't unusual. It was an economically disadvantaged area. My family did not have money. My family was not of a certain social standing where it comes into play in so many places. And I'll be honest with you, I had no idea what a trust fund was until I got into business school. I had very few expectations and very few dreams. I didn't really know I could. There were expectations of me. I was the oldest of 5, a woman. I know what was expected of me. I had to be an example to my siblings. I was to graduate from high school. That's probably the most we aspire to there. I was to get married. I was to have children. Of course, I was supposed to stay in the same town close to my parents. I think some of you can relate to that. You don't leave home. Actually, my father used to say, because he was very, very Latin, very, machista, as we say in Spanish. He used to say, my daughters leave my house either married or dead. That's something to aspire to, isn't it? So there was a constant, as I reflected back on my life, when I put these thoughts together, there seemed to be a constant theme. And that was being told, you cannot. You cannot. I was told, you cannot go to college. We have no money. You have to work to help support the family. I was absolutely devastated because I love school and I really wanted to go to the university in the worst way. Interestingly enough, my one brother, 3 years behind me, when he graduated from high school, my father told him, just wherever you want to go to school, even if I have to work 3 jobs. But he was the man. To his credit, my brother said, I don't like school, I'm going to go to a trade school. And it worked out very well for him. So I knew I had to get a job. So I got a job in steel mills, where the first 8 years I worked the midnight shift. And then eventually I was promoted to the day shift. But since I was so determined to go to school, it was something that was deep inside of me. I went to school part-time. It was, I always figured the time's going to pass by anyway. I may as well do something with it. It took me about 15 years to get both of my degrees, but I did it. So, I have no patience with people who say, oh, I can't go to college, we don't have any money. No, if you want something really bad, you'll figure out how to make it happen. So I was going to school and working. So at that time, I was told by a young man that I was seriously dating, you cannot continue going to school. You have to quit. You're not giving me enough attention. And it's affecting our relationship. The poor thing. And besides, once we get married, you're not going to work. You're going to have to stay at home. I'm not going to let you work. Well, he was soon history. After I had I finished my undergraduate, and my family was all excited, really happy, very proud of me. I decided to go get an MBA. As I told you, my father was very Mexican, very, very traditional. He says, you're going to get an MBA, a master's in business administration? You can't do that. That's for men. Who do you think you are? You're a woman. You have to remember that you're a woman. You seem to forget that all the time. Now, when I finally did complete my MBA, I knew that I had to leave the steel mills. I mean, that was just a given. I was told by my father, again, you cannot quit the steel mill. That would be disloyal. You'll never find work anywhere else. I did find another job, and it was a job working on civil and human rights for a Latino community organization, a job that completely changed the direction of my life. I knew deep in my heart that I had to move out of my house. It was just stifling. I mean, here I was like 30 years old and still living with mom and dad and everything that came with it. And again, my father, you can't do that. Only a certain kind of woman does that. Leaves her good family and her good home. You're going to go in a bad direction. Well, it was one of the best decisions I made. I finally, got in with a group of people that I enjoyed, that shared a lot of my visions and my commitment, the direction that I wanted to go. It was a good circle of friends. And about that time, when I was involved in I got involved in political and community issues, I was told by well-intentioned friends, I'm sure, why are you getting involved in political campaigns? You can't do that. That's for men. You're a woman. The only thing they're going to let you do is this little volunteer work. You're never, ever going to go anywhere working on politics. But I did. And I got very involved. I just happen to love campaigns. It's a sickness I have, I suppose. So from certain political leaders in the city of Chicago, I was told, you cannot be serious in supporting that governor from Arkansas and his feminist wife. There is no way he will be president of the United States. Okay. So when President Clinton was elected president, I had the opportunity to move to Washington, D.C. And again, from family and friends, you can't move. All your family's here. What are you going to do without family? You're going to wither away. No. I felt that that's what I had to do. That's what I needed to do. And I had figured out too at some point, trust yourself in here. You know what's good for you. You also know what's not good for you. And if there's something to tell you, you have to move forward. You have to break some paradigms sometimes to get where your heart tells you need to be. So when I was appointed by President Obama to be the U.S. ambassador to the Organization of American States, I heard comments, of course, Washington, the political Washington can sometimes be a little vicious. She's going to be an ambassador. She can't be an ambassador. The only thing she's ever done is work on women's stuff. She'll never get confirmed by the Senate. Well, I did get confirmed by the Senate. And sometimes it wasn't an easy road. I remember I had a supervisor once when I was working at the Organization of American States on women's issues. He says, you know, you are really doing well with this policy work. And I went, well, thank you. He goes, you know, when I first heard you were going to be appointed to this position, my first reaction was, what can someone from Chicago possibly know about foreign policy? But we're women. We can learn anything when we set our minds to. And again, after I left the State Department at the end of last year, it was that time to move on, I decided, well, I'm going to start my own consultancy. And again, I was told by very well-meaning friends, you can't do that. You should there's a lot of companies that would be willing to hire you. You don't need to do that. It's going to be really hard. I understood that, and I understand it to this day, that whatever challenges that we're throwing, I look at the experiences of Dr. Kuno and the amazing career she's had. We're women. We can do whatever we set our minds to. So what would I say to all of this? First of all, everybody that told me I can't, boy, were you wrong. So what would I tell my 12-year-old self? I would tell her, yes, you can. You can dream. You can create your own future. You can decide your own special path to that future. And yes, you can, and you will succeed. And I ask you to ask yourself the same question. What would I tell my 12-year-old self? Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambassador Lomellin.